Many called Greg Maddux the nastiest player in baseball history, but not for the reasons you might think. While some saw his off-field antics as career-damaging chaos, the truth reveals something far more incredible about one of baseball's greatest minds. Greg Maddux was born in San Angelo, Texas in 1966 and drafted by the Chicago Cubs in 1984. What followed was a 23-season career that would redefine what it meant to be a dominant pitcher. He won more games than any other pitcher in the 1990s, finishing 8th on the all-time career wins list with 355 victories. He holds the record for most Gold Gloves by any player with 18 and became the only pitcher in history to win at least 15 games for 17 straight seasons. But here's what made Maddux truly special. His fastball wasn't overpowering at all. It started at 93 miles per hour early in his career and dropped to less than 86 by the end. Instead of relying on pure speed, Maddux developed something much more deadly. His teammates called him the Professor because of his cerebral approach to pitching. Maddux turned every at-bat into psychological warfare. He would study opposing hitters for hours, memorizing their habits and weaknesses. His philosophy was simple but revolutionary. He wanted to make hitters swing at 0-2 counts, which went against everything coaches taught. Most warned against throwing good pitches on 0-2, but Maddux knew this count had the lowest batting average in baseball. He was willing to give up hits because he understood that fewer pitches per at-bat would wear down entire teams over 9 innings. His approach to pitch location was like a chess master planning 5 moves ahead. He knew that a pitch up and in would force hitters to start their swing earlier, while something low and away gave them more time to react. Against Barry Bonds, one of the greatest hitters ever, Maddux had a 3-pitch sequence that was pure art. He'd start with a changeup up and in, follow with another changeup down and away, then finish with a fastball high and inside. The different speeds and locations made his 94-mile-per-hour fastball feel like it came from a much harder thrower. What do you think was more important to Maddux's success, his mental approach or his physical mechanics? Drop a comment below and hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started on this incredible story. Beyond his mental game, Maddux was a machine when it came to pitching mechanics. Experts called him a cyborg of pitching efficiency during his peak years. Professional analysis of his delivery gave him perfect scores of 80 for both balance and repetition. This meant he could repeat his exact motion with remarkable consistency no matter what pitch he threw or what the count was. His posture scored a 70, and his torque was well above average at 65, which came from perfectly timed trunk rotation that created maximum hip-shoulder separation. This mechanical perfection translated into incredible durability. While other pitchers were breaking down chasing higher velocities, Maddux's sound mechanics protected his arm. He pitched at least 194 innings for 21 straight seasons. His only trip to the disabled list was for nerve inflammation in his back, not an arm injury. The stability of his delivery became the foundation for his command-based style and kept him healthy when his peers were falling apart. Modern analytics have proven just how special Maddux really was. A study using advanced data found that his command was 4 standard deviations better than the average pitcher. To put that in perspective, that's like having a .362 batting average or throwing 105 miles per hour. The study looked at how often pitchers hit their intended spots and how often they missed badly. In 19 games, Maddux hit his target 34.5% of the time, while his major miss rate was only 23.2%. Even when compared to the 19 best starts by any pitcher in their database, Maddux still ranked in the 95th percentile for command. Some people claim Maddux benefited from larger strike zones in his era, but the data accounts for pitch type, count, and batter-handedness. His pinpoint accuracy wasn't luck or generous umpires. It was genuine elite skill that's nearly unmatched in baseball history. His reputation among fellow players tells the real story. Dante Bichette once shared how Maddux struck him out with a curveball after getting him out twice with a different pitch. Most pitchers would stick with what worked, but Maddux intentionally changed his approach to mess with hitters' expectations. The most famous example of his brilliance came against Tony Gwynn, one of the best contact hitters ever. Gwynn batted .429 against Maddux over his career and never struck out in 103 plate appearances. This seems like a failure, but it actually shows Maddux's genius. His strategy was to induce weak contact from hitters. Against someone like Gwynn, who was equally brilliant at making contact, this approach led to hits instead of outs. Maddux himself admitted that while every hitter is helpless if a pitcher can change speeds, there was one exception, that Tony Gwynn. But Maddux had another side that earned him a very different nickname. In the clubhouse, teammates called him Mad Dog because of his outrageous pranks. David Wells described him as a silent scumbag with a silent sickness you had to watch out for. Chipper Jones, a Hall of Famer himself, called Maddux one of the grossest guys I've ever been around in my life. His pranks weren't random acts of immaturity. They were calculated psychological warfare, just like his pitching. Andre Dawson tells a story about Maddux in a clubhouse jacuzzi with several teammates. Maddux asked if they had ever seen 4 black guys run from 1 white guy. When they said no, he proceeded to urinate in the jacuzzi while yelling, "Run, brothers, run," as they scrambled to get out. One of the most infamous pranks involved Chipper Jones and what became known as the bacon strip. After playing golf, Maddux wiped himself with a sock from the team's sanitary sock bin and threw it back in for someone else to find. Jones discovered a dark smudge on his shin after putting on the sock, creating a story that still gets told decades later. Perhaps the perfect example of how his 2 personalities connected was his fart chart. During games, Maddux would meticulously record every audible fart in the dugout on his pitching chart. He'd write down initials and keep tally marks, applying the same obsessive data collection he used for opposing hitters to something completely ridiculous. He even referenced this in his Hall of Fame speech, thanking his brother for teaching him a little bit about science, referring to lighting flatulence. Even later in his career, the pranks continued to evolve. He once disguised himself with a thick beard and posed as a sound man during a workout with Chris Bryant. After giving Bryant some attitude, Maddux took over as the batting practice pitcher and threw nasty pitches until Bryant finally recognized him. These weren't just jokes for entertainment. Maddux's pranks served as psychological dominance that mirrored his on-field strategy. Just like he studied hitters to find their weaknesses, he observed teammates and exploited their vulnerabilities for maximum effect. His mind craved intellectual challenges, whether he was facing Hall of Fame hitters or pranking Hall of Fame teammates. The outrageous behavior also served as a release valve for the intense mental pressure of his pitching style. The psychological demands of precision-based pitching are enormous. By engaging in chaotic and often disgusting behavior off the field, he could decompress and maintain levity, preventing burnout and keeping his mind fresh for competition. Understanding Greg Maddux means accepting that the Professor and Mad Dog weren't contradictions but reflections of the same brilliant personality. He was hyper-intelligent, detail-oriented, and intensely competitive in everything he did. On the mound, he epitomized control with surgical precision and efficient delivery. Off the field, he reveled in chaos and unpredictability. Both approaches involve studying people and exploiting their vulnerabilities. What made this duality so powerful was how it protected his mental health during a grueling career. The intense focus required for his pitching style could have burned out most athletes, but by having an outlet for chaos and humor, he maintained balance. His teammates might have suffered through gross pranks, but they also got to play alongside someone who stayed mentally fresh for over 2 decades. The Mad Dog persona wasn't a distraction from greatness. It was essential maintenance for a high-performance mind. The fart chart perfectly demonstrates this connection. It showed the same obsessive, data-collecting mind applied to a childish gag. His pranks were psychological assertion within the clubhouse, maintaining social dominance that complemented his on-field competitiveness. Greg Maddux's legacy is a complex masterpiece woven from unparalleled brilliance and bizarre behavior. As the Professor, he redefined pitching by proving intellect could triumph over velocity. His preparation, mechanics, and understanding of hitting created a Hall of Fame career with 4 straight Cy Young Awards and a World Series championship. The same mind that outsmarted the greatest hitters in the world was the one that would urinate in hot tubs and return dirty socks to teammate bins. These weren't contradictory personalities, but 2 sides of the same competitive genius. The discipline required for his pitching excellence was balanced by chaotic release off the field. What makes this story so incredible is how both sides actually helped his career rather than hurt it. The pranks weren't distractions from greatness, but part of what made greatness possible. Subscribe for more incredible baseball stories and let us know in the comments which side of Maddux you find more fascinating. To truly appreciate Greg Maddux, you must embrace his full character: the genius, competitor, prankster, and professor. His story proves that greatness isn't always conventional and that dominant minds express themselves in the most unexpected ways. Rather than destroying his career, both personas combined to create one of baseball's most complete and unforgettable legends.